As the wisecracking Chandler Bing, Matthew Perry was beloved by millions. But he wasn't always happy when the cameras were off. From stealing pills to numerous health problems, the actor's personal life had no shortage of tragedy and heartbreak. As Matthew Perry explained during a 2022 interview with Diane Sawyer, his well-documented struggles with alcohol dated back to when he took his first drink at age 14. Perry recalled,
"I remember that day very well in Ottawa, Canada. I'd never drank before."
Noting that he and his friends polished off a bottle of wine during this particular hangout, he added, "And I lay in the grass and just was in heaven."
And I thought to myself, this must be the way that normal people feel all the time.
Perry didn't realize it at the time, but the effects of alcohol that his friends were feeling were significantly different than what he was experiencing. Perry would later tell Tom Power, "I finally felt at home for the very first time as soon as I drank alcohol. Normal people have a drink and they feel a little, woozy. I have a drink and, for the first time in 3 weeks, life seems to make sense." As he detailed in a 2013 chat with People, Matthew Perry became addicted to Vicodin after suffering a jet ski accident in 1997. The actor also recalled what it felt like to take the pills for the first time. He told People, "I felt better than I ever felt in my entire life. I had a big problem with pills and alcohol, and I couldn't stop." In his 2022 memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, Perry pondered how different his life might have become had he never been prescribed Vicodin and ingested that first pill. He wrote, "I swear to God, I think if I'd never taken it, none of the next 3 decades would have gone the way they did. Who knows?" In 1997, Matthew Perry made his first trip to rehab to try to kick his pill habit. He stayed 28 days at Minnesota's Hazelden Foundation Rehabilitation Center. The following year, he told People, "I don't think there's anything in the world that I can't face, having faced that. That was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. You get a whole new respect for yourself and life when you go through something that difficult." He returned to rehab a second time in 2001. As reported by ABC News, his publicist said in a statement, "Matthew has every intention of completing his treatment so that he can continue his dream of entertaining people and making them laugh. He appreciates everyone's concern and thanks them for respecting his privacy." According to the Los Angeles Times, Perry's second stint in rehab caught NBC off guard as Friends was still in production. However, network officials would not disclose if his treatment affected the filming schedule. In between his first and second trips to rehab, Perry wound up in the hospital for 2 weeks with acute pancreatitis. He also lost 20 pounds during his hospital stay. The condition can reportedly be caused by both excessive alcohol and prescription drug use. Perry told Us Weekly, "In my case, it was hard living and drinking hard and eating poorly. You play, you pay. But there were no pills involved. I learned my lesson at Hazelden." Following his release from the hospital, Perry crashed his Porsche into an empty house. He thankfully wasn't injured in the accident, and neither drugs nor alcohol were found in his system at the time. As Matthew Perry's dependence on Vicodin escalated, he hit a point where he needed 50-plus pills each day just to prevent himself from experiencing brutal withdrawal symptoms.
I had to wake up and realize that I needed to get 55 of them, or I was going to be really sick.
To feed this ever-growing drug dependence, Perry went to some pretty extraordinary measures. He admitted to the New York Times, "I would fake back injuries. I would fake migraine headaches. I had 8 doctors going at the same time." All that effort, he clarified, was simply to avoid the pain of withdrawal for 1 more day. He told the New York Times, "I wasn't doing it to feel high or to feel good." In addition to lying to physicians, Perry also came up with some even more unorthodox methods to obtain pills. "The weirdest thing I did was on Sundays I would go to open houses and go to the bathrooms in the open house and see what pills they had in there and steal them." The way he saw it, he'd never be caught because the notion that one of TV's biggest stars would be ripping off meds from open houses would be too bizarre for his victims to contemplate. Perry mused to the New York Times, "And I think they thought, well, there's no way that Chandler came in and stole from us." Perry's addiction to drugs and alcohol was a continual undercurrent during his decade on Friends. In fact, his memories of 3 full years of his time on the sitcom were a little blurry. As he revealed in a 2016 BBC Radio 2 interview, he couldn't remember a big chunk of the series because of his addiction. When asked what his least favorite episode was, Perry didn't mince words, saying, "Oh my goodness, I think the answer is, I don't remember 3 years of it, so none of those, somewhere between season 3 and 6. Perry also told People in 2013 that his struggles during this period were hard to mask. "I couldn't stop. Eventually things got so bad that I couldn't hide it, and then everybody knew." Noting that he never used drugs or consumed alcohol while on set, the actor went on to add, "I was never high at work." Perry explained during a 2022 appearance on The View that the only thing that helped keep his substance abuse issues in check was the responsibility he felt to his friends' co-stars. He explained,
"I had a deal with myself that I would never drink or take anything while working,
right.
And I held up to that deal."
While Chandler Bing was beloved by millions of TV viewers, Matthew Perry admitted that he couldn't watch himself on old Friends episodes. He told Tom Power, "I was on Friends getting watched by 30 million people, and that's why I can't watch the show, because I was like brutally thin and being beaten down so badly by the disease." In his memoir, Perry further explained how his ever-changing appearance on the show offered clues as to which substances he was abusing at the time. He wrote, "You can track the trajectory for my addiction if you gauge my weight from season to season. When I'm carrying weight, it's alcohol. When I'm skinny, it's pills. When I have a goatee, it's lots of pills." Perry dated many famous women throughout his life, including Julia Roberts. The two famous actors were romantically involved for a few months in 1995. Perry recalled in his memoir that the Pretty Woman star was offered a role on Friends during a special episode that was set to air following the Super Bowl. Roberts agreed to guest star on the show and quickly hit it off with Perry.
"Are you dating this Matthew Perry guy?"
"I am dating this Matthew Perry guy."
However, dating Roberts proved to be an anxiety-ridden experience for Perry, as he believed that she'd eventually dump him. He wrote in his memoir, "Dating Julia Roberts had been too much for me. I had been constantly certain that she was going to break up with me. Why would she not? I was not enough. I could never be enough. I was broken, bent, unlovable." So, Perry took matters into his own hands by preemptively calling it quits before she could break up with him. He explained in his memoir, "Instead of facing the inevitable agony of losing her, I broke up with the beautiful and brilliant Julia Roberts. She might have considered herself slumming it with a TV guy, and TV guy was now breaking up with her. I can't begin to describe the look of confusion on her face." Matthew Perry returned to rehab for a third time in 2011. At the time, he told TMZ he had not relapsed but was simply being proactive. The actor said, "I'm making plans to go away for a month to focus on my sobriety and to continue my life in recovery. Please enjoy making fun of me on the World Wide Web." From there, Perry began advocating for others who were recovering from drug and alcohol addiction. He subsequently visited Washington, D.C., where he spoke with a congressional committee to share his support of drug courts. Drug courts take on cases for nonviolent offenders whose crimes are the result of substance abuse. Perry told lawmakers, "Drug courts are the single most effective program for curing serious drug addicts for lifelong recovery." In an interview with The Hill, Perry added, "Any opportunity I get to talk about drug courts on a one-on-one level or a much bigger level, like testifying in that scary room, I grab at because it's just one of the few things that's a no-brainer. It saves lives, it saves money, it's bipartisan." Matthew Perry's work to help others fight their demons went beyond speaking with lawmakers. In 2013, he opened his former Malibu home to those in need, calling it Perry's House. Perry's House offered help to men seeking a 12-step sobriety program. The star partnered with interventionist and addiction specialist Earl Hightower to prepare. Hightower told People, "Matthew is an ambassador of possibility for a vast group of people. People he'll never meet will get services because he championed their cause." Nearly a decade later, Perry opened up about his legacy and revealed that he wanted to be remembered for his work helping others. He told Tom Power,
Is if somebody comes up to me and says, "I can't stop drinking, can you help me?" I can say yes and follow up and do it.
He then added,
"When I die, I don't want Friends to be the first thing that's mentioned. I want that to be the first thing that's mentioned. And I'm going to live the rest of my life proving that."
Perry's House experienced 2 years of success. However, the program hit a bump in the road in 2015, and it all had to do with finances. As a result, Matthew Perry sold the 5,500 square foot home for $10.65 million, noting that it simply cost too much to keep it going. But even though he had to sell his Malibu home, the Friends star insisted that Perry's house wasn't over. He told The Hollywood Reporter that he was going to continue running the rehabilitation center once he found a more affordable location. While mentioning that he was looking at places in Santa Monica and Studio City, Perry told the outlet, "I'm keeping the business going because I like it. It's a good way to go help alcoholics." But even though he vowed to resume the facility at another location, it never happened. At the time of his death, there had been no plans announced about reopening Perry's house. In May 2013, Perry was presented with the Champion of Recovery Award from the Obama administration's Office of National Drug Control Policy. When given the award, Perry was speechless. According to The Hollywood Reporter, he called the honor surreal, adding, "During my darkest times, I never could have imagined receiving an award at the White House." In 2015, Perry was also given the Phoenix Rising Award by the famed rehab facility Phoenix House. He told The Hollywood Reporter, "You can't have a drug problem for 30 years and then expect to have it be solved in 28 days. At Phoenix House, I was very moved by the hope that I saw there, which is what this is all about. Getting sober is a really hard thing to do."
A lot of people have alcoholism and don't know that they do, and they're wondering why they drink so much. I was that way.
In 2018, Matthew Perry's rep issued a statement to ET confirming that the star had just undergone surgery. The statement read, "Matthew Perry recently underwent surgery in a Los Angeles hospital to repair a gastrointestinal perforation. He is grateful for the concern and asks for continued privacy as he heals." The following month, Perry tweeted that he'd been hospitalized for 3 months. His stay in the hospital ultimately lasted 5 months. What nobody knew at the time was how close to death Perry actually became. The actor wrote in his memoir, "I had been on opiates and off opiates and back on different opiates for so long that I suffered from a situation that only a subset of the population gets." While explaining that his colon exploded as a result of his longtime drug addiction, the actor also noted that opiates cause constipation. He ultimately underwent over a dozen surgeries, was forced to use a colostomy bag, and spent 2 weeks in a coma. The actor wrote, "It's kind of poetic. I was so full of it almost killed me." While Perry could joke about it after the fact, his prognosis at the time was dire. In an interview with People, Perry revealed, "The doctors told my family that I had a 2% chance to live. I was put on a thing called an ECMO machine, which does all the breathing for your heart and your lungs, and that's called a Hail Mary. No one survives that." Back in 2020, Matthew Perry had been cast in the Netflix movie Don't Look Up as part of an all-star cast that included Meryl Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Jennifer Lawrence. In his memoir, Perry recalled being in a treatment center in Switzerland around this time, where he was awaiting surgery. As he revealed in his memoir, Perry lied to doctors about his symptoms to procure a prescription for hydrocodone, an opioid-based painkiller. However, Perry was also given the anesthetic propofol for the surgery. So when the two medications combined, the result nearly cost him his life. Perry wrote, "I was given the shot at 11 a.m. I woke up 11 hours later in a different hospital. Apparently, the propofol had stopped my heart for 5 minutes." According to Perry, it may have been his celebrity status that wound up saving his life. He said in his memoir, "I was told that some beefy Swiss guy really didn't want the guy from Friends dying on his table and did CPR on me for the full 5 minutes, beating and pounding my chest. If I hadn't been on Friends, would he have stopped at 3 minutes? Did Friends save my life again?" Unfortunately, Perry was forced to drop out of the film because the CPR broke 8 of his ribs. Meanwhile, Don't Look Up would go on to be nominated for 4 Oscars. When Matthew Perry reunited with his 5 co-stars in 2021 for the long-awaited Friends reunion, viewers couldn't help but notice that the actor appeared to slur his words when speaking. This led to speculation that Perry, who had claimed to be sober at that time, had possibly fallen off the wagon. During his interview with Diane Sawyer the following year, Perry revealed the real reason for his slurred speech, saying, "A couple of days before the Friends reunion, I had an emergency dental surgery. It made my mouth feel like fire. They did all sorts of things, so it sounded like my voice was off. I knew I couldn't not show up, so what I chose to do was just go and do the best that I could." In a subsequent interview with GQ, Perry revealed the sad reason why he was forced to have that surgery. When he bit into a piece of toast with peanut butter, all of his front teeth fell out. Despite numerous ups and downs in his personal life, Matthew Perry never wavered in his commitment to help others who were also struggling with addiction. During a 2013 interview with The Hill, the actor said, "My life has a lot more meaning now that I try to help people. It's also a selfish thing. It makes you feel better than anything else will."
I thought I was alone in this.
No matter what, Perry always seemed to embrace a glass-half-full perspective. He later told The Hollywood Reporter, "I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life and a lot of wonderful accolades. But the best thing about me is that if an alcoholic comes up to me and says, 'Will you help me stop drinking?' I will say, 'Yes, I know how to do that.'" In a 2022 interview with the New York Times, Perry noted that by the time he'd turned 50, he'd spent half his life in treatment facilities or sober living homes. He'd also attended more than 6,000 Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, detoxed 65 times, and entered rehab on 15 separate occasions. Furthermore, the actor admitted to spending a lot of money while attempting to free himself from addiction. Perry told the newspaper, "I've probably spent $9 million or something trying to get sober." After attaining sobriety, however, Perry finally felt some peace in his life. He also expressed feelings of gratitude, telling People in 2022, "I'm an extremely grateful guy. I'm grateful to be alive, that's for sure. And that gives me the possibility to do anything." If you or anyone you know needs help with addiction issues, help is available. Visit the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration website or contact SAMHSA's National Helpline at 1-800-662-HELP. 4357.